is a little preemptive before we start our video. I'm deciding to add this because why not, but I wanted to add this in. So YouTube has decided to get rid of my videos, my things that I wanted to talk about, my edits as well. I like making those kind of music edits because I think they're interesting and, why not? And but they decided to just get rid of it completely. And they have removed my video for community standards. Right, violating community standards. Ridiculous. But I can make a whole thing just impersonating those people. But anyway, my video was talking about the royal family in England and the Queen and King Charles III. A little bit was about Marilyn Monroe, code of deaths, Princess Diana. I delved into a few other topics, but it was mostly about that family. That was the main topic of the video. I did delve into a few other things, but that was like the main course dish. That was the main thing that I was talking about. But anyway, yes, I think the royal family are Nazi sympathizers, and if you look up information on them, yes, they had ties, they had connections to Hitler, to Nazi Germany, to genocide as well, colonization, and yes, they were responsible. Queen Elizabeth, yes, she was responsible for the genocide in Africa and in India, and responsible for all the deaths, yes, and it was because of her that those people died. And, Ray, my friend, he said that she was a psychopath. He said that she was a psycho or something. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Anyway, so I'm going to also post my videos on BitChute. Well, yeah, if they don't censor them. And I can't really on YouTube because they've decided to remove them. But either that or Rumble or some other platform, they can try to keep taking me down. But like I said, I have these videos uploaded on Mega, on other cloud storage. I can just re-upload them. They really don't want me exposing the truth about anything. And also, I was talking a bit about The Crown. I said I think a little bit of it is fiction, but most of it, in my opinion, does seem to be very accurate. And also they have made episodes talking about other things as well. Also the Bowes Lyon cousins of Queen Elizabeth that were put in like a mental institution and never really heard from. They did an episode talking about them. They did some episode or something like that. Yes, that was talking about them. And, the royal family, I had heard that they were outraged. They have seen that show. They were outraged and they were saying, oh, that's a lie. Oh, we never did anything to them. Blah, blah, blah. They're trying to deny it as usual and also trying to deny their Nazi Germany connections, among other things. So I think the outrage from them and all of that kind of shows that it probably is true what they were portraying. Otherwise, it probably wouldn't have gotten that kind of reaction. So, The Crown, I think that show also has exposed some of these things as well. But now I'm just going into this as well too, and I'm going to expose more of it. It should all just be exposed, Also, I've been fined. This is another thing that I want to talk about and I thought was very interesting. But the Bohemian Grove and the owl, they always like to use that as well. And the Freemasons and the secret societies, everywhere they like to use this owl thing as well. And I thought it was weird. They always use the owl and they also use the Eye of Providence, which is the eye in the triangle. And I explained how that means Satan, how Satan is trying to copy Yahweh, and how it means that he is trying to brag that he is God. I explained why it's used everywhere and why, it has this satanic meaning. But I've never explained the owl thing, and I've always wanted to get into that. What does it mean? What does the owl mean? Why do they flash the owl everywhere? What is the purpose of this symbol? So we are going to get into that. The owl has many different meanings and many different interpretations across many different cultures. But owl, or fukuro in Japanese, is a symbol of luck and protection. And also can mean that it can change the weather. They also believe they can predict the weather, which is a very odd kind of thing. But now in Native American cultures, the owl is looked upon as a seeker of sacred knowledge for its wisdom and foresight. The Lakota tribe even had an owl society that fought at night and painted their eyes like an owl in order to gain their powerful vision. Okay, so The Native Americans view owl as wisdom, and they view it as sacred knowledge. And that's also interesting because if you look at the Greek and Roman mythology, it actually comes from the Greek goddess Athena or Minerva, which was the goddess of wisdom. She was the goddess of wisdom and goddess of war, but I mean, not like bloody war, not like violent war. We mean like strategical. We mean, more like wise kind of war, wise decision making, that kind of thing. Ares was the god of war, but he was more of like the destructive kind. It's interesting if you read Greek mythology, there are two different gods of war, but they are both for different reasons. I mean, they had completely different meanings. The owl was also a sign of victory, and also it was believed if you put a dead owl to the door of your home, that you would avert evil, that you would sort of protect your home. It's a lot like when you put gnomes or when you put stuff in your yard outside and you think that it can sort of protect against evil. I guess some people still do that. I guess some people still believe in that kind of thing. It's a lot like when you put out offerings for fairies or when you put offerings to appease sort of spirits, that kind of thing. Well, actually, that's where Halloween comes from, and I could probably go more into a video about Halloween if that's what you're interested in. But that's not now, that's at a sort of later date. Now, this says there was also a Roman belief that the owls who predicted impending death, specifically that the deaths of Julius Caesar, Augustus, Commodus, Aurelius, and Agrippa were all predicted by the bird. Well, that's kind of creepy. The owl is so much a part of Greek-Roman culture that even became a part of their ancient currency. Now, it also has a big thing in Christianity. In Christianity, it also means you can protect the dead. Owls are a thing of like the supernatural, that kind of thing, or they can mean bad omens, or they can mean a sign that something is going to happen. They can mean like a prediction. It can mean that kind of thing. So it means many different things across many different cultures, many different mythology. But in general, I'm going to say that the owl means wisdom, the owl means esoteric, secret, ancient knowledge, the owl means secrets, the owl means into the occult. And of course, we know that it's an occult, also a Masonic symbol. It's sort of like the eye of providence, and the fact that it also means sort of like secret, like hidden knowledge. Now, I read up about the cremation of Care and what they do at the Bohemian Grove. Now, the owl is a pretty big thing at the Bohemian Grove, or I don't think they worship the owl. I think it's Moloch, which is the god of child sacrifice. I think that's the thing that they worship. Now it says that Moloch was like Baal. It was an ancient Canaanite or Babylonian god. It's interesting that all these things mostly come back from ancient Babylon. I wonder why is that. It's also interesting because there's a Masonic fraternity you may have not heard of called the Order of Owls, or Order of the Owls. The Order of the Owls is a secret fraternal order founded in 1901. Okay, so 1901. It's been around for over 100 years. That's just about as long as Bohemian Grove or Freemasons. So I think Freemasons goes back to the 1700s, so that's about 200 years. Now it says it was founded in South Bend, Indiana by John W. Talbot. According to its literature, the purposes of the society is to assist each other in business, to help each other in obtaining employment, to assist the widows and orphans of our brothers, to give aid to our brother in any way that they may need, and assemble for mutual pleasure and entertainment. Okay, so its motto said, or Catechism said, owls do good, speak kindly, shake hands warmly, and respect and honor their women. I think that is one of their mottos. I think that's one of their mottos that they use. Didn't they always use that kind of thing? Okay, so the Order of Owls worked 4 degrees and had a secret ritual, signs, scripts, and password. The initiate was required to recite a lengthy obligation before he could join the order. An owl circular in the early 1920s stated that, "We have a beautiful ritual, but no religious observances. Nothing in the ritual is offensive to any man's religion or irreligion." So they say that they don't believe in any kind of god, these owl people. Are we sure that we can believe that? I believe that's all totally denial because we know what these people really are. I believe that they're all Satanists. And I believe this whole Christian thing is sort of just a guise, I read some of their words, but their official motto is, "There's so much bad in the best of us and so much good in the worst of us, and it behooves any of us to speak ill of the rest of us." Okay. So the same article goes on to state the owls and their mottos have gone the hoo-hoos one better in the rescue of a good old but sadly abused Latin derivative. Out of deference to non-members, we will use the customary dash in the one quoted, which is offered in evidence of a fact that the owls, while going about in a serious way to sandpaper the splinters of the helter-skelter of life, are firm believers in the play spirit. So it says that they kind of are playful. Right, and I guess that's the meaning of that quote. The motto is, "Don't take yourselves too seriously." The ritual of the Order of the Owl stated, "We advocate no creed. We know there are so many gods, so many creeds, so many paths that wind and wind. We believe that the art of kindness is all this old world needs." Bullcrap. Okay, I think that's bullcrap. I said, I don't really believe these people are Christians. Or they say that they're kind, or they're giving, or they're for the community. Okay, those are all lies. They elsewhere stated that their order was a secret society of good fellows who believe and love laughter in the kingdom of heaven on earth. Okay, it does not believe in postponing one's enjoyment until after death. Okay, other owls literature claimed they were the only great secret fraternity which is not claimed in any manner to be a religious body. Now, I read up more on this Order of the Owl thing, and they are directly linked to Freemasonry. They are like a total Masonic organization, totally just satanic. In fact, there is a Masonic article that talks about them. In the meantime, we are happy to remind blog readers that we have material in the collection related to some of the fraternal groups related to the Order of Owls. Right, several groups claimed variations on the name. One founded in 1904 in Indiana, the Order of Owls, another American Order of Owls that became the Fraternal Order of Orioles in 1910. You could read a post about them. Okay. The Afro-American Order of Owls, later the Afro-American Order of Orioles, that was active in the first decades of the 1900s. This photograph shows a nest or local group of the Order of Owls. Like other Masonic and fraternal groups, owls wore aprons, and they still do. Okay, you can see at least one in the photograph. Okay, so yes, they are also a Freemasonic, Masonic organization, just like Demolay, and I could go into Demolay, but Walt Disney also was part of Demolay. I never really watched Disney that much. I've never really liked Disney, and Disney also has Freemasonic, satanic ties, and ties into occultism and secret societies. That's no surprise there at all. A fundamental prerequisite for membership was the belief in one supreme being. Okay, this is what this says. Demolay emphasized the 7 cardinal virtues: love of parents, reverence for sacred things, courtesy, comradeship, fidelity, cleanness, and patriotism. What bullcrap. And I said they always keep trying to say that they're for love, for your parents, for happiness, for giving back to the community, for all these kind of charitable things, when those are just covering up for all the just horrible things that they do. Okay, these are all just evil people. You can see how much of these basic qualities and virtues followed Walt throughout his life and his work and his love of family. Okay. What lies? I don't believe in any of that. The weight was anchored on developing leaders through civic and personal responsibility. Walt joined Demolay in 1920. He was the 107th member of the original Mother chapter of Demolay in Kansas City. His fellow members fondly recalled him as hardworking and creative. Walt Disney was extremely proud of his participation in Demolay. In fact, he sported a Demolay ring until the 1940s when he and the family obtained the Irish Royal Clodagh. I think that's how you pronounce it. I don't know. Okay. Ring, a traditional wedding ring since the 17th century, on a summer trip to Galway Bay in 1948, which replaced the Demolay ring. Okay. So, it says Walt Disney was a member of the original chapter of the Order of Demolay, Kansas City, Missouri. Okay, so it says he was a senior member. Okay, see, I told you that all these people, almost all these famous people, you cannot be famous unless you are a part of secret societies, unless you are a part of these fraternities, unless you are part of these cults. Okay, you cannot make it big unless you're one of them. Thinking about Disney, there also is this show called The Owl House. It's a lot like Harry Potter, these young kids get sent to this magical school and these kind of things happen. Now, I don't know if there's any wars or anything like that, but it's very similar. In that show, there's a lot of Masonic sort of owl symbolism as well, and also if you look at Disney movies, Rapunzel or Snow White, or in fact, in Snow White, you can see owls in the background. And I think a lot of this stuff was done on purpose, these sort of subliminal messages. They've been trying to program the children with this, and they've done pretty well. Most people will not even see any of it at all. And Disney is used as a family thing, much like Halloween or Thanksgiving or these pagan holidays are shoved down our throats as family and happiness and love and get together. And it's about, those kind of things. It's about relations. When really it's not. It's all just lies. But that's how they get you. That's how they get you hook and sinker into their plan. That's how they get you brainwashed through this crap. Or write nostalgia, or they use nostalgia bait. It reminds me of this show Inside Job, which sort of covers these kind of topics, but it's in a sort of satirical kind of way. There was one quote I thought was hilarious. Nostalgia is bullshit. I thought that was great. Because it is true in a sense. All these shows are to entertain you, but they are also for programming purposes. And that is why they keep repeating the same movies over and over and over again. You'll notice that they will not create up or come up with new movies, new ideas. It's always just the same stuff. It's always just the same things rehashed over and over. Like they are always keep remaking Cinderella, or they are always keep remaking Wizard of Oz, or they are always keep remaking Alice in Wonderland. Why? Because it's to indoctrinate everybody. And Jane Austen, I like Jane Austen's books, but Emma, they've had 5 or 6 adaptations. Why do they keep remaking this over and over again? Because that probably serves as programming as well. It's all for a purpose. In my opinion, there are no coincidences ever. No coincidences, no anything like that. Though lots of people will use that kind of excuse, but I don't really believe that. Much like I don't think it's a coincidence how many of these celebrities are related to each other. Like how the presidents, many of them are related to the kings and queens of England and the aristocracy. Now we're going back to Disney, which I thought was extremely interesting. In fact, Walt Disney, so big in Demolay and these evil secret societies, in 1931 it says he even received their Legion of Honor. When asked what he felt about that, in his speech, he said, "I feel a great sense of obligation and gratitude toward the Order of Demolay for the important part it played in my life. Its precepts have been invaluable in making decisions, facing dilemmas and crises, holding on the faith and ideals, and meeting those tests which are born when shared with others in a bond of confidence. Demolay stands for all that is good for the family and for our country. I feel privileged to have enjoyed membership in Demolay." It says that Demolay was an international organization headed by the Freemasons for young men ages 12 to 21. The Order of Demolay derives its name from Jacques de Molay, the last Grand Master of the Knights Templar. So that's very interesting. Sorry if I'm pausing a bit too much in this recording. I always kind of do that to gather my thoughts and sort of gather what I'm trying to say. Of course, many of you might do that, or maybe many of you don't. I mean, if you use a script, then you don't really pause. But I like to pause every once in a while so everyone can sort of gather what I'm saying. And I think that's how you should sort of naturally talk. You shouldn't sort of rush through things. So Disney, he wasn't really a Freemason, but he definitely was part of a Freemasonic fraternity. And I said Demolay, I think that Demolay is evil. All these secret societies are evil in nature, and they all do evil things. They're not good at all. They're not good in any way. As much as they try to tell you that they're good and tell you that they're nice, they are not. Okay? They are lying. They are deceiving. Okay? It's a deception. Do not buy into the lies. Now, if you go to Disneyland or Walt Disney World, there's also Club 33, which is a free secret club at Disneyland. That's interesting. But it's only for rich people, I heard that you have to pay like thousands of dollars a year for this thing. I mean, really, who would want to pay thousands of dollars for that? Club 33, 33 degrees in Freemasonry. Club 33. It's nice that they put that together. And, and most of the population, most of the people will not ever notice it, because people are just so dumbed down and brainwashed that they don't really see the connections at all. They even have Freemasonic checkerboard floors and these kind of like pillars and these weird kind of like statues and stuff in there. Yeah, it just looks like a creepy place. I believe that Disney is also involved with human trafficking, and all sorts of just shady business, drug cartels. So I'm sure there's lots of just weird stuff that goes on in there. I believe a lot of these theme parks and a lot of these cruise ships as well are also fronts for human trafficking and fronts for all these kind of things. Okay, it's just an evil world. You have to understand that there's crime everywhere. There's all sorts of just bizarre things that happen every day. You really don't know the full extent of it. It's also interesting that in Batman, if you've ever read Batman, the Batman comic books, there's these villains called the Court of Owls, which sounds very similar to the Order of the Owls. I wonder if it was inspired by that, or if it's a coincidence. No, it's probably not a coincidence. I'm sure that's what they're referencing when they say the Court of Owls, this order, right? But it's this order, it's this secret fraternity, it's this like Masonic fraternity that controls Gotham, and it sort of controls everything, and they run things behind the scenes. So don't show their faces, they wear these weird eyes wide shut kind of style masks. I think this Court of Owls thing is referring to the Order of the Owls, and they're kind of referring to the secret societies and all this stuff that runs this world. I think that's what they're referring to, and that was from Batman, and I said that I think this stuff is programming. This stuff is programming, and in these comics and these movies and these shows, they're showing us what's going on. They're showing us how this world is really run. They're showing us what actually happens behind the scenes. Batman is full of programming like this. Also, this Order of the Owls thing is pretty bizarre. Okay, so I read more about them, and there was an entire Masonic website that has some of their rituals. They wrote some of their rituals down, and they have more information on them, and it has like a whole entire Masonic museum. It's just pretty creepy stuff. Okay, and it's pretty bizarre stuff. They do pretty bizarre stuff in their rituals, but it has I think the initiation ritual, so I'm going to read some of the initiation. Ritual of the first degree of maleness of the Order of the Owl. They call themselves owls, yes, and they call, I think, their groups or their orders, they call them nests. I think they call their members nests. Right, it's really creepy stuff, okay? It's really completely bizarre. Opening. President calls nest to order with rap of gavel. President, it is my will this nest shall come to order. Vice President, have the inner and outer doors closed, and sentinel and picket at their stations to guard us against intruders. Vice President, President, the doors are closed and properly guarded. President, Warden, ascertain if all present have acquired the wisdom that qualifies them to remain. The warden advances to President's station and gives in a whisper the password. Okay, so they have secret passwords too. Just evil stuff. Then proceeds around the hall. Oh, the hail. Really, the hail is at the hall. Strange, and receives in a whisper the password from each member. Should the warden find any without the password, such shall proceed toward President's station. Okay. Maybe I'm misreading some of this. This is a lot, so I'm trying to read all of it. The president ascertains from the secretary or member's card the standing of the member, and if satisfactory communicates the word, after which member will turn to seat. The warden goes to altar, faces president, and reports, Mr. President, I find all present worthy to remain. The president seats warden with wave of hand. The president calls members to feet with 2 raps of gavel. President, you have met here as a branched nest of the most sublime of all human institutions, that you may be reminded of the high character of this organization. The past president will instruct us as to the basis of our order. Past president, the basis of this order is fraternity. The first glimpse history and science give of man shows each striving for himself and barbarism. When they met, not meet, they fought. Each considered every other an enemy, each killed or sought to master every other. From this condition grew the institutions of tyranny and slavery. The strife of man against man went on into the world, awoke to look upon the birth of liberty. But liberty developed anarchy, and from anarchy was reborn despotism. The efforts of humanity for men were exercised in creeds that failed and governments that fell into a learned fraternity. Okay, so what they're saying is that fraternity, that these secret societies, these orders, they think that they're good, they think that they're helping, they think that it helps build the governments, it helps build the world, Oh, it helps, I don't know, unite everybody. Really. I think this is just evil stuff. This is just pure just evil. This is like pure just indoctrination. This is like cultist. This is like just cult. This is just evil stuff. Liberty turned the civilizations of the world into armed camps. Fraternity wedded to this liberty will melt the cannon and the bayonet, make all men brothers. Dreams come true. The fairy phantom ship comes ultimately home. The dream of yesterday is accomplished fact today. If the gilded palaces you build in dreams topple, why mourn? I rebuild more beautiful. The imagination of man sees much, and with man's resourcefulness and industry will build more. Then dream and work in fraternity and its ideal will realize in the order of owls, a brotherhood in fact. Okay, so that was a whole lot. Okay, President, by the authority vested in me, I declare our nest complete. I have a special duty to perform here. It is to preside over our deliberations with dignity and justice, to preserve order and decorum and enforce the laws of our order. This I am under solemn obligations to perform, and in the discharge of this duty I ask your earnest assistance. You also have duties to perform in common with all our great order. What are the duties of all owls? Nest in concert. Okay, in concert, I think it means that they're all, say, unison. Okay, this is like a cult. Okay, this is a cult. They say this all at the same time. To be friendly, charitable, and honest with each other, loyal to our order, and faithful to its teachings. President, attention, the sign of the order. Nest gives salutation signs. So I guess the nest, right, I said is like the members, what they call their members. Yeah, this is just really creepy. It's just really just creepy stuff. President seats nest with one wrap of gable. President, the past president will exemplify the secret work. Past president goes to order, explains the secret work. What is the secret work? The secret work, I bet it's probably witchcraft, probably occultism, probably just evil stuff, probably, I don't know, probably one world government, right? This is all what all these societies, what they believe in, right? They all are for the same thing. They all want this new world order. That's the truth. They all are for this one common goal. They all want the one world government. Anyway, it says more about the initiation. President, Warden retire and a certain who is waiting for initiation. Warden, I find in waiting names who wish to share in our secrets and sit on our nest. Secretary, have these parties been passed upon by the proper committees, balloted on by the nest, and paid all fees? Secretary, present. My records show these parties have fulfilled our requirements of candidates for membership in our order. President, Warden, retire and prepare the candidates for the first lesson in our order. Warden retires masked candidates and stands a mask facing the lodge room door. Okay, that is creepy. Okay. I would never join any of these societies at all. You can never make me join any of them, especially not after reading all of this. If masks are not to be had, the warden stands candidates with backs to lodge room door. When this preparation has been made, the warden knocks on door of lodge room. Warden stands on one and picket on other side of candidates. Sentinel, who interrupts our deliberations. Warden, inform the president a candidate is well prepared and waiting to learn the first lesson of our order. Okay, Sentinel, Mr. President, a candidate is well prepared and waiting in the anteroom to learn the first lesson of our order. Okay. President, the nest will be in order while I, or the monitor, deliver to the candidates the first lecture of the order. President or monitor walk to position and lodge inside door. Sentinel gives one rap on, and warden opens door. Warden, candidate, heed well what you hear. Lecturer, life is the enigma of enigmas, the one inscrutable mystery of every age. There are those who think human beings unimportant things, scrambling about in a great ocean of chance, and not to blame even though they attempt to save themselves by grasping at forbidden straws. There are some who say our lives end here. The rattling in the throat is indeed finality. There are others who hope for happiness in a city of eternal light, where none shall work and none shall want. There should be no private property, no class, no caste. Okay, no private property, no caste. Wow. See, that sounds a lot like the New World Order plan. Isn't that what they want, right? Nobody to have anything? See, I told you all these people are for the one-world government. All just evil. With such speculations. Sorry, I might have mispronounced that. This is a lot. We are not concerned. Our care is not the soul's future, but the body's welfare. Our mission is to make pleasant your stay on earth. There are 2 periods when we are the same, the times we romp in childhood and molder in the grave. Children recognize no social grades. The offspring of the rich and the offspring of the poor's progeny together make pies and castles from the sand. Death knows no circles of society, waits no one's influence. We are about to admit you to a great fraternity that seeks to make, of all the time, between infancy and death, common ground where we can meet and mingle in equal rank for common good. In the owl's nest all are equals. We know no high, no low, no rich, no poor. Courtesy and kindness are our watchwords. You may have distinction, you may have attained success. You may have wealth and the things it commands. We are about to give you something better, something which money cannot obtain, which power cannot compel. In a moment you will be admitted to a chamber richer than the minds of, I'm trying to pronounce this, Officer, something like that. Führer. In it you will find the most precious of earth's favors, the friendship of your friends. Creepy. Warden here closes the lodge room door and lecturer resumes his place. President, Sentinel, direct the warden to introduce the candidate. Sentinel raps on door once. Warden outside raps on door twice. Door is open. Sentinel, Warden, the President has ordered that you introduce the candidates. If more than one candidate, the President may appoint an aide warden for each additional candidate. Warden brings in and marches candidate around Hale to altar facing President. Warden, President, I present to you, who is qualified for admittance, who wishes to share our secrets and join us in the practice of fraternity. President, what may we expect from this candidate in return for the confidence we bestow? Warden answers, loyalty. President, in behalf of our order, I bid you welcome, and in doing so, it becomes my duty to inform you that our order requires each candidate for membership to take a solemn obligation. Are you willing to take this obligation and keep the same secret so long as life shall last? Candidate answers, President, Warden, conduct the candidate to the invocator to be given the obligation. Warden marches candidate to altar facing invocator. President calls nest to feet. Invocator will require candidate to advance both hands and grasp roost on altar, which will be fixed at about the height of the thigh. If no roost on altar, have candidate advance hands and crook fingers as though grasping roost. Warden, I present a candidate under the orders of the President for obligation. Invocator, you will repeat after me. I swear in the presence of these owls that I will abide by and obey all laws and regulations of this order. I will never commit to writing or review any of its signs, grips, or other secrets, except within the body of a duly and regularly constituted and sitting nest of owls. I further swear I will not cheat, wrong, or defraud a nest of owls, or any owl, or allow the same to be done within my power to prevent. I will give an owl due and timely notice of any threatening danger, and will, if able, render one assistance. I further swear that I will keep the secrets of an owl when communicated to me as such, and I will always respect and protect the honor, sacredness, and purity of an owl's home as I would my own. I further swear I will not join or recognize an order of this name unless recognized by or under control of the home nest. To all this I pledge my sacred word. May God keep me steadfast. Nest in concert. Amen. President seats nest with one rap of gavel. Invocator, you have pledged your sacred honor. None can give a higher pledge. I trust your vow will never be broken. Warden, conduct the candidate to the past present station for instruction in the lessons of our order. Warden marches candidate to altar and stands him facing past present. Okay, so Warden, I present a candidate under the direction of the Invocator for instruction in the lessons of our order. Past President, the name and emblem of our order is that solitary and mysterious bird of the night, the owl. From its appearance and habits we draw lessons, which you can practice with benefit to yourself as well as us. In its native haunts, the owl is noted as being ever the enemy of the vermin and rodents that prey on the fruits of the soil. In emulation of the owl, we would have you ever be a foe of those evils which we may prey on the character and fortunes of our members, as the appearance of the owl suggests strength, wisdom, and wakefulness. We would have you cultivate wisdom and strength. You may be prepared to protect the rights and liberties of yourself and fellow owls, and ever awake to your opportunities of doing good. As the plumage of the owl is soft, we would have your manner to other owls gentle, courteous, and friendly, as its flight is swift and noiseless. We would have you go quickly and quietly to the aid of an owl when one needs assistance, as the owl's sense of hearing is acute. We would have you ever with open ears for the cry of distress of an owl. You have come to us in the vigor of your existence, avowed your readiness to aid us in our work of helping each other. That you are sincere, we believe, that you have the necessary courage to make you worthy of our order. We have yet to ascertain. What we have taught you so far does not make you an owl, and before we reveal to you our secrets, you will be subjected to tests by which we may judge your courage. That you will meet them bravely, I sincerely believe. Remember, a coward sees danger where none exists, and a brave person is not afraid to refuse to try an act which seems foolhardy. With this admonition on my part, are you willing to proceed and meet the test? Candidate answers. Past President, Warden, conduct the candidate to the anteroom and prepare him for the ordeal. Warden conducts candidate to anteroom where he is prepared for initiation. Where possible, he will be brought in riding on a goat. Have two members put on the black gowns and masks and put the hoods of the gowns on their heads. These men guard in the anteroom with the warden and blindfold the candidate with his own handkerchief and remove his coat, vest, and shoes. Then the crones grab the candidate by the arms and jerk him along into the lodge room. As they do so, the warden should tell him to be careful what he says and does. Before this is done, the middle altar should have been removed, so as to leave the floor free for the work. The candidate is jerked along to the middle of the room and stopped. He is then asked by somebody if he is ready to take the second obligation of the order. He answers, yes. He is told to kneel on both knees and then to lean on his elbows and raise his feet and hands in the air. Then the president or leader of team says to him, repeat after me the obligation, and solemnly recite something like this. I solemnly promise to guard all the secrets I learn here. I further solemnly promise that I will not cherish any ill will toward any brother because of anything he may do to me in this meeting. I further promise that wherever I meet an owl and wherever in distress or otherwise I will treat him. Then say candidate. Repeat that louder. I will treat him. The leader of the team says, see that you do. Get up. Okay, and sorry that there's been so much noise. There are cars passing. There's just all sorts of just things. I mean, I live next to drug addicts. Crazy neighbors. I'm sorry that there's so much noise. I've been trying to read this, and it just gets really noisy at points. And also sorry for the long pauses. I said, I'm trying to read this, and there's so much noise outside. I keep having to pause and all these things. So sorry for the interruptions. I couldn't do anything about them, just as long as you enjoy my narration. Here he is taken to the hot chair. An ordinary chair has had the bottom come out and a tin bottom put on it. Under this bottom is placed an oil lamp. When the candidate gets up, urge him to sit longer, but do not force him, and be careful not to continue until he is burned. The candidate is asked if his legs are sound. Two men then hold a stick across the path of candidate like a hurdle at the knee. The candidate is made to step forward until he touches the hurdle with his leg. He is asked if he feels where the hurdle is. He is then told to step back 2 paces. He does so, and he is told that 3 owls have been placed on the owl's perch, which he has touched, and at the count of 3, he must jump the perch and owls, and if he touches any of them, he must get 7 more tests. The leader of the team counts 3, but before the count, the stick is removed. Oh, and was my microphone a little bit muffled? Was it muffled or something? Right, that thing that happens? Sorry, I had to move around a little bit. There are some things happening. I was really busy and You know, that kind of thing. Hopefully that doesn't bother anybody too much. And I said, but before the count, the stick is removed. Yep, that's what I said. Sorry, so sorry. And it sounded like I said sticker. No, I didn't mean it like that. I guess that must have been my accent. Well, it sure does like to slip in and out again. Sorry that my audio cut off and there are so many loud noises and burping and screaming and, well, all sorts of just things. It's just these people way down the street that are on drugs and they're on sorts of just crazy things. I just live in a very bad neighborhood, if you can't tell. It's not a good area. So just ignore them if you do hear them. But I've cut most of that audio out, so you probably won't. So if there's background noise, oh well, I can't do anything about that. But anyway, I was cut off, but it says, and he is left to try to jump over nothing. Then, somebody suggests the candidate can box, and he is told he must box 3 rounds with some person you name. You then put on him the leather belt and a pair of boxing gloves. A referee and timekeeper are chosen, and the referee says, "Shake hands." Somebody shakes the candidate's hands and steps back. The crones hold the candidate, one in front and one behind with the ropes attached to the belt. 2 other members take the other pair of gloves, but do not put them on. One takes a glove and holds it by the wrist and touches the candidate from the one side. When the candidate strikes back, the other touches the candidate from the other side. Thus, they keep the candidate striking at nothing. After this, the blindfold is removed, and the candidate is asked to kneel. Then a chamber half filled with tea is brought to him, and he is asked to drink or forfeit $1. Then the candidate is blindfolded and taken against the lead test, which is prepared as follows. The 2 rings and 3 iron legs are put together with a little ring at the top. You will find the screws in the rings for putting this together. Then light the gasoline furnace and put it under the iron stand. Then put the iron kettle on top of the stand and half fill it with water and sprinkle aluminum bronze on it out of a little can furnished with the outfit. Then put the ladle in the kettle and ladle it up to the bronze spreads all over the water, and it will look like lead. Always have the kettle where the light can shine on it. Warden leads candidate and crone to test. Any of these tests may be omitted, and any others may be put in if the nest wishes. Warden: the candidate awaits the test. Past President: before you went out of this room a few minutes since you promised to meet any test prepared for you. Did you not so promise? Candidate answers: the blindfold is removed. Candidate may be given an option of donating $5 or $10 to social fund in case he refuses. Somebody in rear of candidate whispers to crone in such a manner that the candidate can overhear it. Don't let him hurt himself. Past President: promises are easily made, especially by one who promises without knowing what he promises. If you are courageous, you will now keep our promise, no matter how it harms you. I command you to put your hand in that pot of molten lead. Past President: this lesson teaches you to make no idle pledges and not to obligate yourself without having weighed the extent of your obligation. Warden: conduct the candidate to the Vice President's station for instruction in the secret work. Warden: Vice President, I bring this candidate to you for instruction in this secret work. Desiring admittance to a nest while in session, you will make your presence known at the outer door. This may be done by knocking or in any other way that will attract the attention of the picket. The picket will address you, and you will give him in a whisper the password. He will then admit you to the anteroom, where you will put on the collar or apron appropriate for your membership or office. You will then rap twice on the inner door. The sentinel will answer with 1 rap. The sentinel will then open the wicket, and you will give him your name and the location of your nest. In cases where you are unknown to the sentinel, you will be requested to exhibit your card and prove your identity to the satisfaction of the sentinel, and in case he is in doubt, then to the satisfaction of the acting vice president or president, after doing which you will be admitted. When you are admitted, you will advance to the altar and make the courtesy sign by holding out the hands with backs to the front and fingers crooked as though grasping a roost at the height of the thigh. The president will answer with a motion of hand or gavel. You will then take a seat. If you desire to leave a nest which is in session, you will advance to the altar and make the courtesy sign. The president will acknowledge the sign with a wave of the hand or gavel. If the president does not answer, you will return to your seat till given permission to retire. On entering or desiring to leave a nest, if, when you approach the altar, the president is engaged, and you cannot get his attention, you may turn and salute the vice president. The gavel is in the hands. The gavel in the hands of the president is the emblem of official authority and control over the nest. Give cheerful obedience to its signals. 1 rap calls the nest order, 2 raps at its feet, and 1 rap seats it. Okay. Like that. The corresponding mark is made by using just before the signature of your letter the words yours and OOO, signifying yours in the order of owls. We have no test whereby you can recognize a fellow member, except one have an emblem of our order on one's person and be provided with a card signed by the secretary of one's nest, showing good standing. When you receive a card, you will find on it a blank space for your signature, where you must sign your name. This is for the purpose of identification. A fellow member who doubts your identity has a right to ask you to write your name to be compared with the signature on your card. The greeting sign is hoo-hoo. This greeting sign is not to be considered secret, but may be used in public at pleasure, whenever you wish to greet or attract the attention of an owl. The grip is given thus, illustrates. One who has been obligated may, for non-payment of dues or other reasons, be excluded from meetings, but until death never ceases to be bound by his obligation taken in this degree. Warden, you will face the candidate to the president for the password, which I am not allowed to communicate. Warden, President, I present this candidate who has been instructed in the secret work and desires the password. President, before giving you this, the last secret of our order, I caution you that you are never to give it to another, no matter how strong such person claims, except when you are acting as, or under the direction of, a president of a nest, or as an installing officer authorized by the home nest, or in gaining admittance to a nest which is in session. The word, which is changed every 3 months for this term, is Whisper's password. So, whatever the password is, and it says they change it every 3 months, so. Yeah, that's something. There is so much bad in the best of us, and so much good in the worst of us, it hardly behooves any of us to speak ill of the rest of us, is the motto of the Order of Owls. This order has no questions to ask of what you are. All such were asked and answered before you came here. We wish you to be a good citizen, but we know you as an owl and realize one touch of nature makes the whole world kin, that no person is good and no one is bad. We are all good and bad. When we gave you our grip and password, we gave you our faith. If the visitations of misfortune threaten you, whether as the result of your own folly or mischance, an owl must be your friend, not your judge. When an owl calls, an owl must aid. There is one exception to this obligation, and that is if aiding an owl would be injurious to the welfare of yourself or the members of your family. We teach the tenets of no faith, we interfere with no church, we advocate no creed. We know there are so many gods, so many creeds, so many paths that wind and wind. We believe that just the art of being kind, the old world needs. Some fraternities, on admitting you, warn you not to use your membership to promote your own selfish ends. We tell you, when you came in here, we permitted you to do so, that we might use you. In return, we expect you to use us. It is the duty of owls, other things being equal, to trade with each other, to help each other by every possible means. Okay. The warden will now decorate you, yes, with our emblem. Here, the warden puts apron on candidate. Okay, so they do use aprons, and I told you this is this is very similar to Freemasonry, I think. I read that this was a kind of Freemasonic group. Yep, it's interesting. They all do the same or similar rituals. They're all almost exactly sort of the same to each other in many ways. I guess it makes sense. They all are satanic, and I would never join any of them. Warden, you would take the candidate to a seat facing the nest, which will greet this new-fledged owl. Warden takes candidate to seat. Each owl cries, hoo-hoo! President, Warden, and crones take the new brother to the anteroom to put on his coat, vest, and shoes. While that is being done, one of the team can step out in the anteroom and say to one of the crones, as though very angry, I've stood enough from that stiff. Yes, okay. If he says another word to me, I'll put a hole in him. Here the crones tell the fellow to keep still and not to stir up any row during the meeting, and he returns to the lodge room. Then the president comes out and says to the crones, What did you say about me? The crones tell him to cut out the trouble, and the president says, I'll show him trouble if he says anything to me. I've stood all I'm going to stand from him. Then the president goes back in. Then the candidate is taken in and is led to the warden chair and seated in it where he is directly in line between the president and the quarreling brother. Then the quarreling brother says, I'm not really going to pronounce that. And half aloud to the brother seated next to him, Look at him. Here the president hollers angrily. What did you say? The other brother says. What are you going to do about it? Each pulls out his pistol and begins firing blank cartridges at the other. The candidate is, of course, always in line if he'll stay. Be careful not to have the guns loaded with balls. Closing. President. There being no further business before us, we will now proceed to close. But before doing so, let me urge you to bear in mind the lessons taught by our order. President calls Ness to feet. President, the invocator will recite the creed. Invocator, I will take time to love my friends today. Any flower I have to give, I will give today. Costly blooms laid upon a casket bring no fragrance to the dead. If I have any suffering friend, I will visit him today, lest before I see him death lay its quiet hand upon his longing heart, and so forever its fret and pain and power of glad response. I pass through this world but once. Any good, therefore, I can do, or any kindness I can show, I will do now. President, Warden, collect the rituals. Sentinel, inform the picket we are about to close. After rituals are collected. President, attention, the sign of the order. President, this nest is adjourned to at o'clock. Yeah, pretty disturbing stuff. And this website, I think this is information leaked from possible insiders and possible people who may have been part of these societies or maybe left, and I think that's where they get all this information. Pretty just creepy. They have other information. They have other full initiation rituals and other rituals from other societies as well. And it's pretty crazy that all of this stuff is out open for the public. They're not even trying to hide this. They even have full text versions of these rituals online that you can read. So they're not trying to hide themselves. They're not trying to hide who they are or what they are or the kind of thing that they do. It's funny how they try to say that they keep secrets and that they are secret, yet they allow their information to be publicly sort of exposed like this. I think maybe that's on purpose. Maybe that's for a reason. Sorry if I paused too much, or if I might have been going a bit too fast, or maybe there are weird pauses at points. I was very tired. And also, there's a lot of noise around me when I'm recording this, so it's not going to be that quiet. But anyway, I believe that all these societies, all these cults, all these, and also Knights of the Templar are all connected to each other. They're all related to each other. They're all in bed with each other. And, it's like what I was saying earlier. They all are for the same purpose. They all are for this one world government, new world order. They all are just for the same common goal. They really are no different when it comes down to things. They like to pretend that they are different, and they like to pretend so many things. And they also have this fake gauze or fake guise of charity, of, loving each other, friendliness, when that's not really what they're really about. Really, if they were naturally friends, then they would be able to keep secrets, and there would be none of this secret work or obligations or any of this just creepy terms. But it's nice and it's good to know that there are people out there that are actively exposing them, because I think that they deserve to be exposed and that they should be exposed. Question I'm probably going to get: why did you use sound effects? Well, I use sound effects because I think they add more weight, they add more atmosphere, they add more puncture, they add more rapture to everything I'm saying. When by rapture I mean just more tone. I think they're very good for that reason, and I like the atmosphere that they bring. Now, some people don't like sound effects and they think they're annoying. I personally am not of that opinion, so that's me. That's just what I like doing. In my editing style, I like to use a lot of rapid effects. I like to use a lot of rapid things, transitions. I'm very creative. I go in all kinds of directions with everything that I post. I've seen like other people's videos and they are just very standard. They don't really use all kinds of things. I'm like the opposite. I like to go, everywhere, and I like to use all kinds of effects. I like to use all kinds of things. I'm just very super creative. I'm super, I guess, out of the box, I guess, in that kind of way. Well, or fashion. Now, second question I'm going to get, why did you narrate, or, why did you say that so creepily? Well, I think their words show how just demented and crazy and just how evil these people truly are. They are not your friends, they are not for the community, they are not nice people like they try to tell everyone, and I also think that they are Zionists, they're fake Christians or fake Jews, or they're pretending to be something that they're not. These are just really deranged, demented people. These are just really psychotic people, and their words, what they say, shows that they are. Their actions show that they are. Their beliefs, their outlandish beliefs show that they are. Yes, their just beliefs are just evil. They wouldn't need to hide in a lodge and do all these secret rituals. And also I read about a Mason who went rogue, and he was trying to publish a book that was trying to expose them and expose these other related societies like the Owls. And they killed him. They murdered him. See, what kind of secrets do they have to the point where they need to murder people if they go and tell anyone? It must be just really evil things. And they go and they sit in this place and they do all these just bizarre rituals and keeping secrets and obligations. If you don't do this or don't do that, then something is going to happen to you. It's a gang, it's a cult, it's whatever you want to call it. And I think those college sororities or fraternities are creepy as well. They have the same kind of vibe to them, and that's why I never joined any of them. I'm gonna show the video, but does anybody remember the Alpha Delta Pi thing? Does anybody remember that, like, weird group? I thought it was hilarious because Family Guy, they did like a parody version of that. It was great. I normally don't like Family Guy at all, but I like when they parody things sometimes because sometimes they do a good job. Not all the time. I feel like the show has just gone downhill exponentially and it should have ended years ago. But sometimes they're good. Sometimes they can be funny. I remember they did like an episode of like about college and how creepy these like sororities and fraternities and all that things and these cults like are. I remember they did like an episode about that. So I'm just gonna show the clip. It's hilarious, but I think it's also just scarily accurate.
Hi, I'm Serena. This is Lily and Grace.
Yeah. Are you interested in pledging for Alpha Delta Pi?
Yeah, I hear you guys throw all the best parties.
Well, we've been waiting for you all summer, and we're so glad you're finally here! Boom, boom, I wanna go
Meg, you gotta get me out of here. These people are out of their minds. Do not go AD Pi, Meg. Do not join this thing. They don't let us out of the pile. They're so mean, Meg. They're so mean.
That clip is so true. I reference it all the time. Anyway, second answer or questions about my narration. Oh, you sound like this, or you sound odd, or sound creepy. Well, just my accent. It's just how I talk. And also, well, because it's a cult, darling. I mean, do you really think we should be glorifying these kind of things? Alright, so it's probably the longest video I've ever made in a while. That took me several days because I kept getting interrupted and lots of things. I didn't have that much time, but I managed to do all this, and so that's a good thing. I hope I help people. I hope I help wake people up. I hope that kind of thing. That's a kind of mission I have for my channel. That's the kind of thing I want. That's why I'm doing this. I'm not doing this for fame. I'm not doing this for money. I'm not doing this for glory. I'm not doing this for wealth. I'm doing this to help people. Though, also, I'm not going to be part of any communities. Well, if it's a community of nice, kind people who care for each other and love each other, then yes. But if it's a community like the Truth or Transvestigation community, which I left because people were fighting and calling each other shills and attacking each other and, all this just drama. If it's going to be like that, then I don't really want to be like any part of that kind of thing. But if I uncover or find more things, then I will make another video. And I will really go deep into that. I'm going to go into several other topics, several other of my opinions, my thoughts. That's what you can expect. I will not upload every day because I don't have the time to, but I will upload every once in a while. I am alive. I am well. I am not dead. I am just very busy, and I have a lot of personal problems, so that's like a minus. But anyway, I hope you are happy. I hope you are healthy. I hope you all are okay. Have a good day. Thank you all. Thank you. I love you. And thank you for listening. I love you all.